So this is car number 3. This is for 1 litre petrol engine. Just getting it all set up. I've just noticed that the air conditioning has been set to Fahrenheit. So I think an older person has been driving this today. 66 Fahrenheit, that means absolutely nothing to me. Don't know how to change it back to Celsius, but never mind. I'm just going to turn it down to the coldest. Just turn it down to low. There we go. Right, let's get the driving position sorted. Yeah, that's fine. Just need the chair back. Give it a nav. Back. So now I'm in the 1 litre petrol unit, which has 115 PS, which is about 113 horsepower or thereabouts. It'll get to 60 miles per hour in 11 seconds, and it has a top speed of 114 miles per hour. So with it being the baby of the engine bunch, it is predictably slower. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like in a car of this size. 1 litre engines have starting to become the norm in hatchbacks, but not quite so much in SUVs. Even though this is a compact SUV, but even so, it'd be interesting to see what a 1 litre engine is like in the Ateca. So let's give it a go. So this is also the SE model, like the last car I drove, but because it's got a smaller petrol engine, it's cheaper. So this is priced at £19,590, and like the other SE model, you get automatic headlights, and you get this 8-inch display, which has got the sat nav and the rear parking sensors, air conditioning, leather steering wheel, and cruise control, a few other features as well. I must admit I can't remember them off the top of my head. Obviously it's got things like Bluetooth, USB ports, because we've become accustomed to them now. You pretty much get that in every car on the market nowadays. So yeah, it's got a generous bit of kit, and yeah, let's see how we get on. It seems pretty responsive so far. I'm still in and around town, so can't fully open the taps as of yet. But I'm in 4th gear, 30 miles per hour, and it seems to be pretty comfortable so far. It'd be interesting to see what it's like on the motorway. It does have 6 gears. It's mated to a 6-gear, a 6-speed manual gearbox. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether it's capable on the motorway or if it will run out of puff. Now obviously, with it being a 1 litre, it doesn't pull as strongly as the 1.4 petrol that I tested earlier, and indeed the 2 litre diesel, but even so, it should be enough to please most people. As I say, I'm driving it around town at the moment. I've not taken it on faster roads as of yet, but when I do, it'd be interesting to see how the engine performs compared to the other ones. So with it being a 1 litre engine, it has of course only got 3 cylinders as opposed to 4, so as a result it makes an unusual noise. I'm just going to drop it down 2 gears. Hear that? Makes quite a nice thrum. Not quite as loud as I was expecting, to be honest. Actually, I've driven a few other 1 litre cars, and they do make quite a racket, but even so, even at the top of its rev range, it's still a little bit muted. It's certainly not as loud as other cars I've driven, but it may be because this is an SUV as opposed to a hatchback, so it may have better soundproofing. So far, the 1 litre seems pretty capable. I've not really tested it that much as of yet, if I'm brutally honest, but even so, it seems quite at home, and it seems quite comfortable in a car of this size. I was a little bit worried that it wouldn't have any power and that you'd really have to rev the nuts off it to make progress, but so far, it's not been too bad. But For the route I'm on, will take about an hour or so. So as the hour progresses, I'll keep you updated with what I think. In regards to MPG, you're looking at about 54 miles to the gallon with the 1 litre, which is just a little bit higher than what you'd expect from the 2 litre diesel and the 1.4 petrol engines that I drove earlier. So at the moment we're doing 41.1 miles to the gallon, which is about the same as I was able to get from the other 2 cars that I drove earlier today, which isn't a great surprise because the quoted the quoted MPG for 1 litre is about the same as the 2 litre diesel and 1.4 petrol, so no real surprise to be getting similar figures on this run as well. So as with the other manual Ateca, the gear change is quite nice. It's got a nice weight to it, and yeah, you know, on the whole, it's very pleasurable to use. The throw could be a little bit shorter, but I'm nitpicking, if truth be told. So yeah, 5-speed manual gear. Well, sorry, this is a 6-speed manual gearbox, I should say. Yeah, manual gearbox has got a thumbs up from me. So I'm about halfway on my route now, and MPG is 41.9, so about the same as the other 2 cars I drove earlier. I don't think it's going to creep up to much more than it is at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of MPG I get from the 1.6 diesel unit. So one thing I like about the Ateca is that you don't really get a sense you're driving a big car. I'm cruising along at 40 miles per hour, and it just feels like I'm driving a big hatchback, if truth be told. It's quite an easy car to drive. It's quite easy to see out of as well, and even with the 1 litre engine, it's not what you'd call sluggish. Obviously, if I put my foot down, it does take a bit of time for something to happen, but I'm in 5th gear, so you know, I'm not going to get instant power. But even so, the Ateca is definitely an easy car to drive. The 2-wheel drive isn't as comfortable as a 4-wheel drive, but that's not to say the 2-wheel drive isn't comfortable. Sorry, isn't comfortable, because it is. But the 4-wheel drive just does a better job of soaking up bumps, but I suppose it has to. You know, if you're going to take it off road, you don't really want to be crashing around everywhere. Although, let's face it, the majority of people that will buy the 4-wheel drive variant won't take it off road at all anyway. So at this point, you may be wondering why I've not said as much about this car as I have done as the others. And if truth be told, there's not a great difference between this and 1.4 petrol I drove earlier. The only real difference is that I haven't got the driving modes and 30 miles an hour. And obviously it's got a 1 litre engine instead of a 1.4 litre engine. But beyond that, everything else is pretty much the same. Would I recommend for 1 litre? Difficult to say. You know, I'd rather have a 1.4 petrol, but I'm still yet to test for 1.6 diesel, which I think is one that most buyers will sway towards. So let's see what happens in the next drive. Then after that, I'm sure I'll give you my thoughts on which one I would have and which one's probably your best run for your money. Right, it's gone up to 60. Let's see what the 1 litre can do once you get it running. Into 6th. Not too bad, not as sluggish as I thought it was going to be. It's not going to set the world alight, obviously. You know, it's a 1 litre petrol engine in a compact SUV. But even so, you know, most buyers should be happy with the performance that it's able to offer. Tell you what's a nice touch, this cubby hole here is actually refrigerated. I like that. Well, the cup holders are a little bit bizarre. So one's big and one's small. So someone made a good point to me earlier. If you have 2 big coffee cups, you can only fit 1 in, which it does seem a little bit bizarre. But never mind. I'm sure there's a reason why they've done it. So I'm pretty much at the end of my drive for 1 litre, and as predicted, there's not a lot of difference other than the engine, of course. The 1 litre engine does work in the Ateca. I was expecting it to be a bit down on power, but if truth be told, it's not too bad. I don't think it's the one I'd choose, but 1 litre does work in the Ateca, that's for sure. If you want a bit more power, then obviously you need to go for one of the bigger engines, whether it be for 1.4 petrol or the 1.6 diesel, which I'm about to test next, or the 2 litre diesel that I tested earlier. But for 1 litre, not a bad engine. It's not my pick of a bunch, but if you want a small capacity engine in an SUV, then this is a good choice for you. You don't see many SUVs. Actually, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other SUVs that offer a 1 litre engine. So it certainly sets the Ateca apart from other SUVs in the market. So I'm not too far from the end now, and just to give you an update of the MPG, it's currently sitting on 42.1 miles to the gallon, which is about the same as what I got with the 2 litre diesel and the 1.4 litre petrol, which, as I said earlier, isn't surprising because they do offer a very similar MPG figure. 2 litre and 1.4 have 53.3 miles to the gallon official figure, and this has 54.3, I think. It's 54 point something there or thereabouts. So not the most economical car in class. It'd be interesting to see what the 1.6 is able to offer, and I'll be jumping into that one quite shortly, so stay tuned for that one.